Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel where I am going to talk about the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. In the sexual reproduction in flowering plants, there are several events which has to occur like pre-fertilization changes, pollination, microsporogenesis, megasporogenesis in the pre-fertilization events, and after that the pollination event has to occur, about which I have already said, right? Now in this video we are going to talk about the outbreeding devices. So from our previous videos we have seen that cross-pollination is a very important event which is very much advantageous over the self-pollination, and flowers have the tendency to do the cross-pollination and to stay away from the self-pollination event. So to meet that requirement, they must follow some activities, and those activities are considered as outbreeding devices. So now let's move ahead. What are those outbreeding devices? From the term outbreeding, if we'll see, out means the outside and breeding means the fusion between the male and the female gametes. So to do the fusion between the male and the female gametes from outside flowers, that means to do the cross-pollination, plants or flowers always have some characteristic features. What are those characteristic features? Let's just see now. The first outbreeding device which plants used to follow, that is unisexuality. Okay, unisexuality. What is the meaning of unisexuality? That is having only one sex in one flower. That means only having either the male part or the female reproductive part separately. If the male and female reproductive part will remain separate, then there is least chance of having self-pollination, right? So the flower where we can find both of the sexually reproductive part together, those are considered as bisexual or the hermaphrodite flower. But to avoid that hermaphrodite or the bisexual flower, the making of unisexual flower is very, very important. Now there also comes two chances. In first chance, the flower which is bearing the male part that can born on one plant, and the female part that can born on some other plant. That means in two separate plant, two separate reproductive parts can be present. And in some other cases, on the same plant, maybe in the flower, in one flower the stamen is present, and in the other flower the pistil is present. That means male and female flowers both are born on the same plant. Depending upon in which type of plants what parts are growing, there are two types of plants. Okay, monoecious and dioecious. Monoecious means when there is only one parent plant that is bearing the male flower as well as the female flower, but both of them are separate. Okay, the flower which is male, that is only producing the anthers, that is having the stamen, and the female flower that is only producing the embryo sac by megasporogenesis, that means only having the pistil. Okay, so that type of flower is considered as monoecious. You can find the example of papaya of the monoecious flower. And in the other case, this event can be of like this dioecious plant. In this case, the plant can bear either the male part, that is a male plant, and in the second case, the plant can bear either the female part, that is considered as the female plant. Aecious means actually home or house. So here the plant body is acting like the home or the house for the male and female reproductive parts. So the monoecious part and dioecious part, mono means one, that means one house, one plant, and dioecious means two house or two different plants bearing male and female flowers respectively. Okay, so this is all about the unisexuality. Now the second device or the second tool which a plant can have, that is considered as dichogamy. That event is considered as dichogamy. So what is dichogamy? That means the formation and the maturation of the male and the female parts in different times. Okay, co means chronology, dichogamy, that means the chronology of the gametes, that means the timing of the maturation of the gametes in two different times, that is considered as dichogamy. So here also two events can occur in one event, which is considered as protoandry, and the other event which is considered as protogyny. So what will happen in case of protoandry? In case of protoandry, that means proto means previous. That means in this case, in the case where the androecium or the stamen matures first, then the female part will be matured. That is considered as protoandry. Androecium, that is stamens, will mature first. Stamens matures first. And in the second case, the pistil will mature. Pistil matures first. So though one flower is hermaphrodite or bisexual in nature, though both they are the flower is consisting of both the male and female parts, but if the maturation of the male and the female parts will take place in the different times, then it is never possible to meet the self-pollination event, right? So to avoid the self-pollination event, the bisexual flowers often show this type of differentiation in the maturation event of the male and female parts respectively. Okay, the third event which can happen, that is considered as hercogamy. Hercogamy, the meaning of hercogamy is physical barrier. That means there will be formation of several physical barrier in the plant, so that what will happen, supposedly there is formation of very long stigma and very small anthers. So as they will form very small anthers, it is never possible, though both of them are being mature or maturation of both of the parts are happening simultaneously or eventually at the same time, then also it is never possible that the self-pollination event can happen, because it is not possible only for the pollen grains after maturing and after bursting from the anther. It is never possible for them to jump on the stigma. It's not possible. So in this way, flowers used to make different types of physical barriers among themselves. Those events are altogether considered as hercogamy. Those events are altogether considered as hercogamy. Next event which can occur is self-sterility. So self-sterility is another event, that means the pollen grain of the species will fall on the stigma of the same species, but then also they will release some sort of, let me just draw this picture, that maybe this is the pollen grain which is falling on the stigma of the same species, but the stigma is releasing some chemical factors due to which the pollen grain is not able to germinate on the stigma of the same flower. So what will happen? There will be no self-pollination event. Okay, so self-sterility or self-incompatibility is another factor of outbreeding device. Next is, we can say as heterostyly. Heterostyly, as the name suggests, hetero means different, styly means the styles or the pistil. So that means there will be different lengths in the styles and the pistils. So that means when there will be different lengths in the styles and the stamens, then also self-pollination event cannot happen. Like if in some flowers we can see that this type of flowers are there, and maybe from here the stigma has arrived, and from here the anthers have arrived. Okay, from here the stamens have arrived. So what will happen in this case? It's never possible for this flower to make self-pollination event very easily, right? On the other hand also, if we'll try to make like stigma, if the stigma will be little bit shorter, anther will be little bit larger, then also the self-pollination event can occur. It is possible. But when the stigma is little bit larger than the, or much more larger than the stamen, then it is never possible to happen the self-pollination event. Okay. So these are the few outbreeding devices by following which the flowers or the plants always try to do the cross-pollination event, or always try to avoid the self-pollination. If you found this video helpful, then please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel, and keep on watching my next videos, because in the next videos I'm going to talk about the fertilization event and what are the post-fertilization changes occur to the plant. So keep on watching. Thank you.